Pride Daily.
Hi there, I'm Kev McGraw. Coming up, Putin comes for queer cartoons. First though, Germany's oldest and biggest LGBTQ+ nightclub is no more. Schwarz in Berlin has been around since 1977, but the venue went bankrupt a few months ago off the back of rising rents and inflation. It closed its doors for the final time on Saturday night. Gitti Reinhardt's a DJ and drag queen in the German capital.
I grew up with my drag in Schwarz. We are a big family and it hurts to see our family fading away. It's like your grandmother's dying.
Thanks to CNN. In 1979, Schwarz played a part in launching Berlin's now annual Christopher Street Day parade for LGBTQ+ rights. A crisis in the club scene there has taken down a number of venues. Many more are struggling.
Pride Daily.
Next, a young gay man's died in Nigeria after being thrown from a 2-storey building. Hilary Ikechukwu Emeriole was entrapped in what's known as a keto incident in Port Harcourt. It's when queer people are targeted through dating apps or socials. He was also beaten and left with spinal cord injuries.
Pride Daily.
And Russia's banned the world's biggest anime and manga platform of what it calls extremist LGBTQ+ content. My Anime List is now My Anime Blacklisted because of queer themes in its Japanese animations. So-called gay propaganda is outlawed in Russia, and the non-existent International LGBT Public Movements designated an extremist organisation. No time to tell you that former England goalkeeper Mary Earps has come out as queer. The 32-year-old says she's in a same-sex relationship with Kitty. And Calgary in Canada has sworn in its first out LGBTQ+ mayor. 39-year-old Jeremy Farkas is bisexual.
Pride Daily.
Hi there, I'm Kev McGraw. Coming up, why Nelly Furtado's out of pocket. First though, plans for a ban on conversion therapy in Gibraltar. They're going to be put before Parliament in the British Overseas Territory on Spain's south coast. Means they're getting ahead of the UK, which has authority over Gibraltar, but hasn't yet outlawed attempts at changing a person's sexuality or gender identity. Reagan Martinez-Gaivisos from Gibraltar's LGBTQ+ committee.
It just doesn't work. It just makes it worse, and no one should be converted into something that they're not. People should be what they are and who they are, and that's it. And we've been pushing for this for 3 years, and we're really, really happy that it's finally happened.
Thanks to GBC, there's currently some form of ban in 28 countries.
Pride Daily.
Next to Norway, where Grinders lost an appeal against a record 65 million kroner fine for breaking data protection laws. A previous ruling, the queer dating app shared personal information, including location data, with various advertising partners, has been upheld. The company says it's disappointed, but remains committed to protecting users' privacy.
Pride Daily.
And after the collapse of Manchester Pride, one of the UK's biggest LGBTQ+ events, it's come out Nelly Furtado's among the performers who've not been paid. She was one of the headliners back in August, and a touring company's owed more than £145,000. Manchester Pride went bankrupt last month, with total debts topping $1,300,000, affecting nearly 200 organisations and individuals. No time to tell you that actor Jonathan Bailey's been named People magazine's sexiest man alive. It's the first time a gay man's taken the title. And Robert De Niro's daughter, Erin, says she's had non-stop support from him since she came out as trans.
Pride Daily.
Hi there, I'm Kev McGraw. Coming up, a new drag laureate for San Fran. First though, we hear from the mum of a transgender girl in Queensland who's fighting the Australian state's ban on puberty blockers. A Supreme Court challenge saw it overturned last week, with a judge ruling there'd been a lack of proper consultation, but the ban was reinstated pretty much immediately by the government, caused culture wars.
When I told my daughter about the decision, she was really upset because her big thing was, I don't want to grow a beard. I don't want to, have my voice break.
So they're getting the treatment privately, but
that's an incredibly expensive process. The puberty blockers alone are $739 every 3 months for the needle. And then you have the doctor's costs on top of that. She's had 2 treatments now. The only way I could afford that was with a loan from my mother, who's a pensioner.
Thanks to the 7am podcast, the mum's identity's a secret to protect her daughter. She says her legal fight goes on.
Pride Daily.
To America next, and 2 men accused of planning terror attacks at LGBTQ+ bars in Detroit have been arrested by the FBI. It's claimed the 20-year-olds had acquired high-powered guns and were practicing at shooting ranges in preparation. The FBI reckons they were inspired by Islamic State and had been scouting queer bars in Detroit ahead of a possible attack on Halloween.
Pride Daily.
And San Francisco's named its new drag laureate. Persia becomes the second ambassador for the city's drag scene and its LGBTQ+ people and culture. The 44-year-old, who's transgender and Latina, has been performing there for nearly 2 decades. She's long been an advocate for queer rights and education.
I hope this role will help give face and voice to these communities I come from, the communities that make our city magic.
Thanks to KTVU Fox 2. Persia's also a teacher in an after-school arts programme and co-founded the Drag Story Hour kids reading event.
Pride Daily.
Hi there, I'm Kev McGraw. Coming up, TikTok's trans technical issue. First though, another arrest over the murder of a gay scientist in Colombia, police say was lured to his death using Grindr. The body parts of Alessandro Coatti were found scattered across Santa Marta in April. It's thought he'd been drugged and robbed by a gang. A man accused of being the 38-year-old's fake date is the latest to be held. Susie Rabin worked with the Italian at London's Royal Society of Biology.
Speechless of the just utter horror of it. Yeah. I think we'd like to remember him for the amazing man he was, the amazing work he did, and his just enthusiasm for life and everything.
Thanks to ITV News. 6 other suspected gang members linked to the killing have previously been arrested.
Pride Daily.
Next claims the transgender flag emoji is being censored on TikTok. Some attempts to use the symbol within the app see it changed to a blank flag next to the gender equality symbol. TikTok denying anything untoward though. They say a technical issue is affecting a number of emojis and they're working to fix it.
Pride Daily.
And the actor who was Jack in Dawson's Creek says he considered quitting when he found out the character was going to be gay. As Kerr Smith puts it, the news was a real bummer for him because this was his dream job back in the 90s and now he's being thrown this curveball. But he made some phone calls and continued in the role, ultimately becoming part of what's considered US TV's first passionate kiss between 2 men. No time to tell you that. It's South Africa's Feather Awards later, celebrating queer excellence and allyship. And the first Palapai Pride's been held in Botswana, where homosexuality was only legalised 6 years ago.
Pride Daily.
Hi there, I'm Kev McGraw. Coming up, a queer footballer's big drama. First though, it's exactly 30 years since an attack on 2 gay men so savage a city was left in shock. Terry Sweet and Bernard Hawkin were targeted in a park in Plymouth in the UK on November 7th, 1995. 64-year-old Terry died at the scene, while Bernard, who was 54 at the time, was left in a wheelchair with brain damage. Stuart Newbury was the lead detective on the case.
They received a horrific beating, kicking, jumped off the bench on top of certainly Terry, and he died as a result of his injuries, which were multiple injuries to the head and to the body.
Thanks to ITV News. Bernard died many years later as a result of his injuries. 3 men who were teenagers at the time got life for murder.
Pride Daily.
Next, America's Supreme Court's having a secret session today that could threaten same-sex marriage there. Judges are deciding whether to hear a legal challenge brought by an evangelical Christian who may well have mislaid her soul. Google Kim Davis, she's a treat. If they do allow this to progress, then ultimately marriage equality could be left to individual states to decide on.
Pride Daily.
And Josh Cavallo, the out pro footballer, is consulting on a new drama series that is kind of in his wheelhouse. Armour's going to be about the consequences of living your truth for a fictional queer soccer player in England's Premier League. Australian Josh, who's now in the UK, says he'll help make sure it feels realistic, and he's honoured to be involved. No time to tell you that. It's the Trans Visibility Awards later in Victoria in Australia. Tomorrow is Intersex Day of Remembrance. And a Miss Piggy film's in development, written by non-binary performer Cole Escola. Leave us a review, please, and be nice. That's your lot. I'll see you next week.